Jonathan Majors reveals he was SA from age 9 by men and women. Okay. Now, this is very, I will say, amongst young boys, they tend to go unnoticed when it comes to a topic like this. Young boys tend to be very forgotten when it comes to topics like this because we just try to put it as it's these young girls out here being targeted specifically by these men out here. And a message like that has contributed to a lot of problems. Meaning this, when you make a message like that, it's not that you're just, oh, we just think men are the predators. It's not even that. That's not even something that I really focused on, because at the end of the day, it is what it is on that. But when you focus it on just the girls, what people don't understand is predators target people or things, young people, that they think nobody's going to care about them, right? This leaves many young boys, I'm talking about many, majorly unprotected. I'm talking about majorly unprotected. And then on top of that, when they grow up to be men, most of those boys do not open up about what happened to them. Or specifically, if a woman does something to them, they'll just chalk it up as, oh, I liked it, even though the boy will be 12 and then the babysitter would be in her 20s, right? Or the boy was 9, the babysitter was 16 in high school already, right? Let me give you another example. This is why even predators will target young boys on these apps, on these messaging apps, because they know he's not going to say anything. This is why the Catholic priests were able to get away with what they got away with for all these years. Like, if any of these things happen to the nuns, mind you, the nuns who are of age, you would have think that have been able to go on for how long it went for with the altar boys. Please, right? So, anyways, back to Jonathan Majors. Reading from the caption here, it says Jonathan Majors opened up about the trauma he endured as a child from being the victim of SA from both men and women. Remember, from both men and women. There's no look when it comes to predators. It's always going to be somebody you you least expect, for the most part, right? It says both men and women in an interview with Hollywood Reporter. Hollywood, isn't that? I think I've done a couple segments from Hollywood Reporter. Anyways, Majors, isn't that? Hold on. Let me do something real quick. Yeah, I know. Oh no, that's sorry. That's something different. But yeah, Hollywood Reporter. So I guess in this is where he spills the beans. And shout out to Jonathan Majors making a comeback in the industry. First of all, he shouldn't have lost his role. He was the victim there. Now imagine this guy was a victim of a lot of things when he was younger, which he's about to open up, and he ends up going or facing jail time for something he didn't do. While the Caucasian woman that he was dealing with during that time, who was the assaulter in that case, she was able to flip it on him and make herself the victim, right? Anyways, it says Major says after a jury convicted him of one count of misdemeanor, third-degree assault, and one count of second-degree harassment of his ex-girlfriend. Yeah, Grace Jabari. I was trying to think, what is her name? He goes, in addition to the domestic violence program, he underwent therapy and re-engaged with his pastor. This allowed him to unpack childhood traumas he had not confronted before. He says, I dealt with SA from both men and women from the time I was 9, from people who are supposed to look after you in the absence of a father. I was effed up. The actor says a childhood SA resulted in depression as an adult. The 35-year-old explained the conversation he recently had with his mother about the abuse and said she apologized for not being able to protect him. I'm like, it's not even an issue, Mom. I just want you to know. And now we can all get busy and continue to connect and grow and learn from it because it's something that was in our family. Interesting. We'll get back to that in a little bit. He goes, he also started processing the abuse has led to more self knowledge about his behavior in relationships. He goes, there are no excuses, but by getting help, you begin to understand things about yourself. Swipe to see what he had to say about being fired from Marvel and dropped by his manager, Entertainment 360 and publicity firm, the lead company. Okay. I want to look up something about Jonathan Majors real quick because he said something about his mom and, protecting his mom. Let's see. Jonathan Majors' father. Interesting. So I'm looking up something. Let me see something. So I know it's Wikipedia, but it's saying something about his dad. Let me see. He said he spent his early years with his mother, who was a pastor. His father was in the U.S. Air Force. He goes, in 2020, Majors said, our father, who loved us dearly, just kind of disappeared one day and he resurfaced 17 years later. Majors has since reconnected with his father. The family moved around various cities. Interesting. Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up, man. As soon as I saw the quote from his mom, or sorry, him talking about his mom blaming herself or whatever. Interesting. So technically, a single mom household. It doesn't say. I don't know if it's because it doesn't look like because it doesn't look like they the his dad was married to his mom, and people are gonna be like, "Yo, why did he? But he left. He left him." Well, we got to ask why. We have to ask why. First of all, the mom picking somebody in the military, that's already red flag number one on the mom. But that's a whole other story. But men will leave for whole types of reasons, man. And I think one underrated reason that I'm starting to realize, what if, because he said he has an older sister, a younger brother on the base. What if he found out that he the what if he found out that his dad, sorry, what if his dad found out that his mom was fathering like she had a kid by another man, and he ended up realizing it, or he just, that's there's a lot of reasons why a man will leave. He'll just up and leave. But then he said that he showed up 17 years later, and then they reconnected from there. So it's not like he got famous and then he showed up. Like he he said just 17 years later, he just came back out of nowhere. So we don't know. Now, I've already said this. We already know the stats when it comes to abuse and all this stuff. When it comes to single mothers, unfortunately, the boys and the daughters that grew up in that environment, they end up facing some kind of SA or some kind of abuse of some sort, because the single mother, she doesn't have, she can't be there the whole time because she's gonna have to work or she's gonna have to do something, right? So she's always gonna have to be handing off her kids to somebody else. This is why, for the life of me, I don't understand why you'll have two-parent households where they will opt to give their young boys or young girls into a daycare system and not like no Montessori system or something productive. They'll just put them in a daycare just because. And it's already a two-parent household. Like that, for the life of me, has never made sense. But that's just me. Because what's the point of y'all being together if not one person is going to at least have the flexibility? I'm not saying not work, but just at least have the flexibility to stay home from time to time, especially in those younger years. When I'm talking about those younger years, specifically, where so you don't have to put the child in a daycare. You know what I mean? So these are the things that, but as a single mother, because resources are limited, you don't have a man to help you out. You don't really have as much family members that really want to help you as much as they say. You end up getting passed around from babysitter to babysitter, people after people, uncles after aunts after family members of the uncles and aunts that are not really your blood relatives. You know what I mean when I say that? So these things are very common when it comes to single mother raised kids, right? So this is very interesting that I'm seeing this right now. This is very interesting. And also, when it comes back to the topic of young boys being often neglected, right? I think me personally, I think the reason why they stopped airing to catch a predator is because they start. I think because, in my opinion, they stopped that series because I think people started noticing that it seems like they were able to attract more predators when it came to decrease. So when they put the bait person out there, the more that they put young boys as the bait, younger and younger boys as the bait, the more predators they caught. The more predators they started catching, the more people. So I think when people started picking up on that trend, in my opinion, I think that's why they stopped it. That's been my opinion especially when it came to catch a predator. They started catching because they were able to catch more when they started using younger boys as the bait. Often, I'll say this: parents, if you have young boys, please don't just assume they're fine. Please don't assume it's just fine because men, we're always going to say we good. Boys, we're always going to say we good. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how we just end up getting brought up, or just that's how society ends up grooming us, right? Um, don't assume that they're just fine. Don't assume that they're just fine. And unfortunately, even when it comes to men, when they get raped, nobody really cares. In fact, we make jokes about it. Hell, we've had people on Instagram. I don't want to say their names. That literally made a whole that gained damn near celebrity status off of joking off men's pain in prison. Gods, gods, gods. Never mind. I don't want. I'm not trying to throw shade at the brother, but what comedian, male or female, could gain fame and like can like literally gain clout off of joking off women getting SA in general, whether it be in prison or not, by men or women, right? I don't know what person could gain fame off of joking about women getting SA, like the other dude that I just mentioned. Or we'll even joke about what happened to Tom fearing what he was fearing on the Boondocks, right? So men are just already just kind of just they grew up they just understand that our pain, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Which often leaves a lot of young boys being neglected and being taken advantage of by men and women. You know what I mean? So shout out to Jonathan Majors. I really hope he makes that comeback because it looks like with that, especially that bodybuilder movie that he premiered or he's making or that he made, he's finally making a comeback. Hopefully Marvel brings him back in the fold. Because me personally, I think Marvel let him go because Marvel already knew they were going, like Marvel already knew that they're not gaining as much fans as they once were. So they're just kind of going to use that as a scapegoat to make it like, oh, he kind of ruined Jonathan Majors kind of ruined the plans. That's really what they were trying to do, but I'm not buying that. I think even most people saw through that. So hopefully I want Jonathan Majors to make his comeback because what was done to him was just criminal by Marvel. But I see Jonathan Majors making his comeback. I'm rooting for him. I'm sorry that he went through what he went through as a younger kid, as a young boy. There's a lot of young boys going through the same thing. So I will be rooting for him. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, share, and subscribe.